All right, let's dive into a really powerful story today. It's a story about faith, about courage, and it all happens on a tense international border, centered around a figure known as Tanot Mata, the deity of the border. This line, it just paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the setting. We're talking about a place filled with this deep, profound loneliness, which honestly just makes the story we're about to tell that much more incredible. So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, it doesn't start with a big battle or a huge event. It starts in a place of quiet strength, a small, ancient temple, this one little stronghold of faith standing firm in the middle of a vast desert, right on a tense border. I want you to just try and picture this for a second. This temple has been there for ages, right? Timeless. And then suddenly it finds itself right on the front lines of a modern conflict. The air that used to be filled with prayers, now it's just the sound of cannons in the distance. And in that quiet, you can almost feel the heavy weight of the soldiers, always watching, always on guard. So how in the world does an old temple in a war zone become the center of a legend? Well, it all starts with a few mysterious sightings. Whispers that begin to travel among the soldiers, slowly building into something much, much bigger. So how did this whole thing kick off? It wasn't some big dramatic moment. It was something way more subtle. Soldiers started seeing something. A shadow of an elderly woman, over and over, always near the temple. They said she had these soft but really firm eyes, and she was holding a lamp. I mean, what a powerful image, right? It was like seeing a mother standing on her own doorstep, just silently protecting her children. And that image, that feeling, it just started to spread like wildfire. You know how these things go. What started as just a whisper during a quiet moment on watch soon became this powerful, shared belief. A conviction, really. They started to feel like they weren't alone out there in all that emptiness, that some kind of power was watching over them. And this growing conviction, it was about to get a whole lot stronger, because then came the stories, a series of absolutely extraordinary events passed from soldier to soldier right there on the front lines. These became known as the Mother's Miracles. So what exactly were these miracles that turned a simple belief into this unwavering faith? Well, first up, unexploded shells. Can you imagine? Bombs are landing all around the temple and they just don't go off. Then, in the middle of intense fighting, this sudden deep calm would just fall over the area. And what about this? When supply lines were totally cut off, food and water would just appear. Or a gentle light from the temple would guide lost soldiers back to safety. You'd have vicious sandstorms that would just suddenly stop. And maybe most powerful of all, soldiers on lonely watch would feel this reassuring presence, like a hand on their back. Just incredible stories. Okay, so these stories are amazing, but you have to wonder, what was the real-world impact? How did this faith actually translate into a real pillar of strength for the soldiers who were right there on the ground? Well, this belief became what you might call a force multiplier. Think of it like a kind of psychological armor. It gave them huge mental and moral strength to deal with the extreme stress and isolation. The temple wasn't just a building anymore. It was a beacon of hope when things got really dark. And this shared faith, it also built this incredible bond between the soldiers and the local community. The temple itself was seen as a safe place to rest. And the legend, it just fueled this incredible sense of service and national spirit. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful thought. Someone is watching. Someone is protecting us. And when you are facing just overwhelming odds, that belief, well, that can be the difference between giving up and finding the strength to keep going. It can be everything. Now, this is a really important point we need to talk about. It's crucial to understand what kind of story this is. Our source material is really clear about the difference between folklore and documented history, and that's what we're going to dig into next. Our source is really clear on this. What we're talking about here is this beautiful tapestry woven from local faith, from the personal stories of soldiers, and from tales passed down from one generation to the next. So the point isn't to get out a magnifying glass and fact-check every little detail. It's about understanding and appreciating the profound emotional truth and the undeniable power of this belief. So you've really got these two different ways of knowing things, right? On one side, you have what's called Lok Shraddha. It's basically the people's faith. It's a kind of truth that's built on shared feelings, personal experiences, and stories that get told over and over. Then, on the other side, you've got historical documents. That's all about official records, documented facts. They're just two different ways of understanding the world. And the story of Tanot Mata is such a powerful example of that first kind of truth. And you can really feel that deep reverence for this protective spirit in this short, simple prayer that's still said today. Om Tanot Mata Namaste. Protect our country, protect your devotees, give shelter and courage to whoever comes here. Jaya Mata Di. And really, that brings us to our final thought. This whole story is about so much more than a temple or a series of miracles. It kind of leaves us with this really big question. How does a story give birth to faith? And then, how does that faith turn around and give birth to real, undeniable courage? It's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.